on? You're on, Terry.
All right. See, Mr. John? How do you? Okay. Well, that's it. But you die all. I get a school to make. I win G Gomal down Delixon to make. Welcome everybody here. My name is Chief Terrance Paul, and I'm very proud, first of all, to welcome the Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau, to our community here in Membertou.
Glad to be here.
I also want to say that we got funding from the accelerator program, the housing accelerator program for 28 more houses. So we're going to build in more houses here in Membertou, and it's going to put a big dent in our housing needs, and it's going to provide for what we call forever homes for a lot of people here in Membertou, which is very, very much needed. So I want to thank the Prime Minister for showing us his commitment to the housing crisis here in Membertou, but not only in Membertou, but in the country. And this is proof that he's dedicated to see that, and the proof that he's here to be part of the announcement in our program here in Membertou. And so with that, I want to pass this over to the Mayor of the Cape Breton Regional Municipality, Amanda McDougall. Amanda?
Thanks. I'm so grateful. Thank you, Chief Jalasi, Prime Minister, to everybody who is here today. This is a really, really important day for our community. As the Chief mentioned, our Prime Minister has shown his commitment to helping communities grow in a sustainable way. This funding for CBRM means we're going to have dedicated resources in-house that are focused on growing our housing, growing our residential housing inventory, making it easier, taking away that red tape so people could come in and say, I want to build a 6-unit. Your plans are already pre-approved. Get out the door and start digging your shovels. This money is going to allow us to offer grants to developers to make sure that affordable housing is attainable in their projects here in CBRM. We're going to be, we now have a contract of over $11 million here for our community. I will say, you know, Mike Kellaway, our MP, Sean Fraser, and our Director of Planning, Michael Roos, and now our Acting Director, Karen Neville, I gave them a 1-week no call from the Mayor at Christmas as a gift, because I'm sure they were sick of hearing from me. But, you know, we worked so hard to get this done, and we're so grateful to the federal government for acknowledging and recognizing the amazing path forward for CBRM. So now I would like to invite our Prime Minister up to, keep spreading the good cheer.
Thanks, Amanda.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Amanda, for your words, but mostly for your leadership. You know, it's been you know, a challenging few years on a whole bunch of different levels, and the way you've consistently stepped up has been really, really impressive, and you've been just a great partner to work with as well. I really, really appreciate it. You know, when the snowstorm hit a few weeks ago, you know, we were all calling and pestering you to see what more could be done. The Minister Sajjan called you, I called you. We're all connecting, all pulling together. But it's not just about pulling together in times of emergency, it's also times of pulling together to build a stronger future. And that's really what we're here today for this announcement. Chief Paul, Terry, thank you for your extraordinary leadership in Membertou. It really is, you know, 40 years of building an extraordinary community, an extraordinary future that isn't just focused on its own success, but making sure that we're spreading success across Cape Breton, across the province, across the country as well, with your example and with your leadership. So it's an incredible pleasure to be here today to talk about housing. And of course, I can't be here without recognizing first and foremost the extraordinary work and leadership of my two friends, Jaime Batiste and Mike Kellaway, our MPs here on Cape Breton Island, who are If you could hear them back in Ottawa, constant advocates for Cape Breton, constantly pushing for the kinds of things that Cape Bretoners are wanting and needing and building right now, that it's really a pleasure to be here with you all today. We're here today to talk about housing. And people right across the country are facing tremendous pressures on housing, on rents, on mortgages, on a range of things that are really top of mind for so many people. Now, as a government, we stepped up back into the housing business after previous Conservative governments in Ottawa stepped away from housing. And in 2017, we stepped up with a national housing strategy that actually has invested over $850 million through multiple different programs here in Nova Scotia for over 63,000 homes built, renovated, retrofitted, improved, rendered accessible. Real impacts over the years. But we recognize that even as we're looking at housing that federal money helped contribute to, there needed to be a step change in the way we approach things. Because yes, there were rapid housing programs and rental construction initiatives and reaching home, anti-homelessness initiatives and Indigenous partnerships programs. And those were all focused on building these units here or this apartment there or this complex here. And that's really important, and we're going to continue to do those things. But we also needed a way to change the way and the speed housing was built in this country. That's where the Housing Accelerator comes in. We've now signed well over 50 agreements with municipalities and communities right across the country. And what they're focused on is actually looking at the tools that municipalities like the CBRM or Membertou First Nations have to unlock even more housing faster in their communities. So it's looking at zoning, for example, as CBRM has done, bringing in the principle of 6 units as of right on any lot. That maximizes and augments people who want to expand their homes, people who want to build new properties, people who want to do a lot more to create opportunities for people to move into their neighborhoods, to their communities. Increasing densification, particularly around city cores and transit stops. These are things so people can walk to and from the transit that's going to take them to work. Increasing the speed with which we process applications, giving municipalities the ability to cut red tape. Giving people the opportunity to use more public land or nonprofit land and convert that into housing. These are the things that are going to unlock untold numbers of new housings over the coming decade, because we're changing the way this is done. We're talking over 3,000 new homes over the coming years in CBRM, close to 200 in Membertou. But really, once you've changed the way you build housing in a community, the sky's the limit in responding to the needs of growing, prosperous communities where people want to live, where people want to move into. That's what this vision of rolling up our sleeves, getting things done in true partnership with municipal, with provincial, and with First Nations, with community partners right across the country. And there's great innovation going on across the country. Just earlier this week, I was in BC, where they put forward a program called BC Builds, where they offer financing to build more rental units, including 3 or 4 bedroom units for homes, for families to live in the communities they work. For far too often, particularly in our bigger cities, you get firefighters or nurses or teachers or tradespeople who live and work in a city but have to live hours away because of public transit, because of commute times, because they can't afford to live in the city. So this BC Builds program is creating specific opportunities to finance affordable apartments for people to live in. And I've been encouraging across the country since then other provinces to step up with similar programs that the federal government is happy to come in and match dollar for dollar with the financing to unlock even more housing. Yes, housing is a challenge right now, right across the country, but it's a challenge we've been able to solve before as a country. And we're going to solve it again, the way Canadians always solve things, by rolling up our sleeves and getting to work. C'est tellement un grand plaisir pour moi d'être ici au Cape Breton pour souligner les investissements du Fonds d'accélération pour la construction de logements. qui démontre qu'on peut non seulement investir pour créer des unités et des maisons un peu partout à travers le pays, mais on peut changer la façon que les maisons se font construire. On va accélérer la construction de logements, plus de logements à travers le pays, plus de logements abordables, plus de communautés où les gens peuvent bien vivre. C'est le but qu'on partage tous ensemble. That's why I'm so glad to be back here in Cape Breton, so glad to be highlighting what happens when orders of government and partners work together, and so glad to continue to work hard to keep Canada the best country on the planet. Merci beaucoup tout le monde. Happy to take your questions.
Thank you, Prime Minister. We'll now go over to questions, starting with the Canadian Press.
Good afternoon, Prime Minister. It's, I think, a little bit over 2 years, very somber anniversary of the beginning of the Ukraine war. What is Canada? There's a suggestion from the Munich conference that we can urgently help with shortages of munitions, 155 caliber artillery shells. What are your thoughts on contributing to that urgent project? I believe it's $30 million is the ask.
Over the past 2 years, since Russia's illegal invasion of Ukraine, Canada and Canadians have stepped up. We've welcomed hundreds of thousands of Ukrainians to Canada so they can hunker down throughout the duration of this war, however long it lasts, and be there to support them. We have sent close to $2.5 billion committed close to $2.5 billion worth of military aid that continues to flow to Ukraine, to be able to have them stand up not just to Russia to protect their territory, but to protect the principles and values that underpin all of our democracies. We stepped up with a total of over $9 billion in aid, and our commitment is and will continue to be, we will be there for Ukraine with as much as it takes for as long as it takes. And Canada has been united on that until recently, when the Conservatives chose to vote against Ukraine on the renewal of a free trade deal. But the Canadians I speak to from coast to coast to coast are still unequivocal that we need to be there for Ukraine. So we are working with partners around the world to make sure we're sending more military equipment, whatever we can, and continue to purchase more on the world markets to send to Ukraine. We will continue to be there to deliver for Ukrainians who are fighting for their country, but also fighting for all of ours.
Following up.
1 week from tomorrow is the pharmacare deadline. Will your government reach a deal with the New Democrats and introduce legislation by then?
One of the really important things that we've seen over the past couple of years in Ottawa and continuing to see is what happens when progressive parties work together to deliver for Canadians. Right now, 400,000 kids whose families didn't have access to dental care for them got dental care last year. 800 now, 1,000 seniors have registered for free dental care across the country because progressive parties made a decision to deliver that. We moved forward on dental care over the objections of Conservatives who voted against it. We were there for our seniors. We are there for people who need it. So we move forward on dental care. And we're also committed to moving forward on creating a framework for pharmacare, because in a wealthy country like Canada, nobody should have to choose between buying groceries or buying much needed medication. We have brought medication prices down over the past years, and we're always looking forward to doing more. So we're working closely with other parties, with the New Democrats specifically, to create a framework within which we can move forward. Understanding, of course, that healthcare delivery is provincial, but the federal government has a role to play in making sure that everyone across this country can get the aid, the support, the care that they need. So we're going to continue working positively with all parties in the House, and we're going to keep delivering for Canadians from coast to coast to coast.
Next question.
Hi, Ian Nathanson from Cape Breton Post. Glad to see you here. You're seeing all our snow in the area. Is there any more federal assistance that can be had with regard to getting rid of all this snow?
The Sunday afternoon when I called up Amanda to say, what can we do to help? How can we help? And she told me that Harjit Sajan, our emergencies minister, had already talked to her an hour before, and we'd already started to mobilize things. We're there to help. We were there to help with snowplows from Parks Canada. We were there with equipment from the Coast Guard, including helicopters, I believe. We were going to be there to help, and we are. And part of being a disaster response is not just in the moment and keeping people safe and digging them out. It's also making sure that you're there for the cleanup and for the financial support that's necessary afterwards. We have a strong disaster resource assistance program that the province will be applying through, I have no doubt. We are there to support going forward. There are processes underway, evaluations and assessments being done. But as was the case with Fiona, as was the case with wildfires across the country, including here in Nova Scotia, the federal government will be there to support. This is what Canadians do. We stick up for each other in times of difficulty. You see it in person here in Cape Breton, but you see it right across the country, and it's what people expect from their orders of government. This government will be there.
And it's great that we're seeing all the homes in the area. What is sort of the federal role in terms of dealing with homelessness in areas?
We put in place a number of years ago a Reaching Home initiative that invested hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars across the country on initiatives that go at all the social determinants of homelessness and support people to get that kind of supportive housing they need. Whether you're talking about addictions and mental health services, whether you're talking about training and job opportunities, whether you're talking about just safe and supportive with medical care places to live, there is a wraparound need to continue to engage on housing and homelessness. The federal government is there to be a partner with municipalities who step up, with provinces that step up. There's always a lot more to do, but we're going to continue to make sure that we're countering the challenge that far too many Canadians who are experiencing homelessness are living.
Hi, Holly Connors with CBC. This funding for housing in CBRM, what do we know about the projects that it will go toward to fund and where they'll be?
That was actually the point I was making in my opening comments, that it's not just about specific projects. Although we have the Rapid Housing Initiative, we have the Apartment Construction Loan Program, we have the Affordable Housing Fund, we have the Reaching Home Program, we have lots of different programs that are there to build specific housing units or apartments or complexes in various areas. And that we're going to continue to do. That's part of the way we built helped build 63,000 new homes and units across Nova Scotia over the past number of years. But the Housing Accelerator is different. The Housing Accelerator is about changing the way municipalities approve, zone, create density, use public lands. So yes, there are estimates about over 3,000 new units that will be unlocked by this Housing Accelerator over the coming years. And for $11.4 million, that's a pretty good number. But the reality is, once you've changed the way people build homes, the amount of homes or units you can build on a single property, the access to financing and capital, the acceleration of red tape, things like the taking off of the GST on purpose-built apartment buildings, these are things that unlock homes everywhere throughout the municipality, unlock potential across. So we have lots of programs that specifically fund this place at this address, that. The Housing Accelerator is about unlocking everything across the CBRM, and that's why Amanda and us are so excited about it, as is Chief Terry.
So with this funding, what is the decision-making process, and who ultimately decides what this money will go to, what projects this money will go to fund, and is there any community consultation involved?
It's all community driven. This is money that we are, the Housing Accelerator are agreements we've signed with over 50 municipalities across the country. Not all municipalities, only the ones who've stepped up with ambitious plans to change the way housing is built in their communities. So if a city came forward and said, okay, we want to give 2 units as of right on every lot, we'd say no, you're not getting housing accelerator money. But the community next door that said we want 4 units as of right, or even here in the CBRM, 6 units as of right, we said, wow, that's real ambition. So yes, we're going to sign a housing accelerator deal with you. Every housing accelerator agreement is slightly different across the country, but they all have the same principles of rewarding ambition for those municipalities who want to accelerate the way they're building homes and create great opportunity for growth. This is money that we've agreed to send to the municipalities so they can improve their processes. That is the way the Housing Accelerator works.
Thank you very much. This is what concludes today's press conference.
There was a question about online harms that people are asking about, and I think I was talking about this with my MPs earlier. The reality is, I think everyone agrees how incredibly important it is to keep kids safe. We keep kids safe in the schoolyard. We keep kids safe in our communities. We need to do a better job as a society keeping kids safe online. Keeping them safe from child sexual exploitation, from bullying, from the kinds of mental health distress that far too many of our young people are going through. And that's why we're moving forward with online harms legislation that will be introduced soon in the House and that will be robustly debated. Because I think it's something that all Canadians count on, that governments do what they need to keep all of our kids safe. Now, the fact that Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives, without reading the legislation, without knowing what's in the legislation, are not just opposing it, but spreading lies about it, is concerning. What's also concerning is, instead of stepping up to stand for protecting our kids through responsible, serious legislation, he's proposing that adults should instead have to give their ID and their personal information to sketchy websites or create a digital ID for adults to be able to browse the web where they want to. That's something that we stand against and disagree with. We think we need to responsibly protect kids, but we need to do it in a way that is acceptable to all Canadians. So I think this is yet another example of Pierre Poilievre being irresponsible and not serious, and choosing to play politics instead of actually focusing on what matters, which is how to keep our kids safe. Merci tout le monde.